Hello everyone, welcome to Rasayan Academy, and guys, this video is going to be about the splitting of the NMR signal. So we are going to talk about the splitting pattern as well as the coupling constant, which we call the coupling constant, which we denote as J, right? So in the previous few videos on the NMR spectroscopy, we have talked about the delta scale, the diamagnetic anisotropic effect, also the number of peaks, that how many number of peaks we might get in a particular molecule, right? So we basically have understood that already, right? So if you want, you can visit the previous videos as well. So in this video I'll be talking about the splitting pattern, right? That who is going to split, how are our signals going to split, right? How are the signals going to split in the NMR spectrum, right? Okay, so let's begin. So the first thing that we want to study is that who can split the other neighbor. So if we are talking about the proton NMR spectrum, let's say we are talking about proton NMR spectrum, so we are going to get a peak for this hydrogen over here, and let's say we are having one R atom over here and R dash. So if the environment of these two protons are different, then they are going to be magnetically different and they are going to give us two different peaks, right? Because the environment is different, so they are going to give us two different peaks. But are those peaks going to be singlet? Is this peak going to be a singlet and the other one also singlet? That we don't know. We have to understand this based on the splitting pattern. So first of all, in some upcoming slides we are going to see that what are the different type of coupling constants we have, what are the different splitting patterns. Here I'm just roughly telling you that over here this hydrogen would be split by the adjacent hydrogen, matlab ki this hydrogen is present on this carbon, so it is going to be split by the hydrogen present on other carbon. We also call it the three bond coupling, or the 3J value we also call it. Okay, so this is our three bond coupling because we are having three bonds over here, right? So the peak for this hydrogen, which we were getting one peak for this hydrogen, this is going to be split by this hydrogen, the neighboring hydrogen over here, by the formula 2Ni plus 1. This is how we are going to split the peak for this one. So let's see. So there is only one hydrogen over here, and so 2 into 1 into I value is half for our protons, so plus 1. This is going to give us how much? This is going to give us 2. So this hydrogen is going to split the peak of this one in a doublet. So we are going to get a doublet over here, 1:1 is intensity, and the same is going to be for this hydrogen. So the adjacent hydrogen is going to split the peak for this one into a doublet as well. Okay, so this is how it is going to be. So this is how the splitting happens. Very easy concept this is, guys. And whenever you see that the value is half, I value, whenever you see that this is half, so you can directly follow this rule that 2Ni plus 1, you can also move it to n plus 1, where n is basically the number of atoms that we are having over here. Okay, so let's say if we are having one adjacent proton, so this proton is going to split the peak for this hydrogen into a doublet, which is what we found out from over here, right? Yes, so this is how it is going to work. Now there are different types of splitting that I have given you. The first and the most observable, this is the most observable vicinal coupling that we see, and definitely guys, this is of so much importance that whenever you are going to see a vicinal coupling, the splitting for these two hydrogens is going to have equal J value. Now how is that going to be? We'll discuss that in a while. Okay, the other type of coupling is geminal coupling, and geminal coupling happens when two hydrogens which are basically present on the same carbon are still different, which means they are still facing different environments somehow. Okay, and then they become magnetically distinct. They become magnetically distinct. Okay, so if we are talking about the protons, let's say if we are talking about these two protons over here of propane, N-propane. Definitely these two hydrogens are going to be the same because they are facing methyl on both the sides, right? They are going to be the same. Okay, and that is why these two methyls are magnetically identical. They are not going to split each other's signal, right? So we are going to get one singlet, or let's say we are just going to get one peak for these two hydrogen. They are only going to be split by the adjacent hydrogen by the vicinal coupling that we have. Okay, again the 3-bond coupling or the vicinal coupling. No geminal coupling is going to work over here. But let's say if we are having a molecule like this, then definitely the environment of these two protons is different, and that is why they become magnetically different. We are going to have different peak for these protons, and they are going to be split by each other. That is called geminal coupling value. Okay, it is geminal coupling. So we are going to see some examples as well. There is these are short range coupling, guys. These are short range coupling over here. Long range coupling also we have, but the long range coupling is very not seen very often. Okay, so basically if we are having these hydrogens separated by 3 carbons, so it is going to be 1, 2, 3 and 4. It is basically a 4-bond coupling. It is a 4-bond coupling over here, and these two hydrogens are very rarely seen to couple, or even if it does, the J value, the coupling constant value, is going to be very low. But this is a saturated carbon system. If we are having allylic protons, if we are considering allylic protons, that is this and this, these two protons, again they are going to have 1, 2, 3 and 4 bond coupling. But over here, due to the short carbon-carbon double bond, the distance is not much between these two protons. So definitely the allylic protons are going to show us a more coupling as compared to the long range coupling over the saturated carbons. So now we are going to move on, and let's see some examples, guys, that if you are having these molecules. So in the previous video, if you see, we talked about the number of peaks. So we talked about the number of peaks in the previous video. So in this video we are going to talk about splitting. So for example, if we have this molecule over here, so this molecule is only going to have proton NMR peak. Only 2 peaks this molecule is going to have. Why? Because all of these CH3 proton of the methyl protons are same. They are all equivalent, right? And the other peak we are getting for this proton over here. Okay, very well. So we are going to get 2 peaks, but how are these peaks going to split into? Let's see that. So first of all, if we talk about the vicinal coupling, guys, if we let's say talk about the vicinal coupling, this is our central proton over here, and this is our carbon, which is going to have 3 other hydrogens. So basically this is our 3-bond coupling. This is our 3-bond coupling, or we also call it the vicinal coupling. And in the vicinal coupling, we see that these 3 protons are all similar. Yes, all of these 3 are similar. So we are going to get 1 peak for these 3 protons, and they are going to be split into a doublet. These protons are going to show us a doublet because of the adjacent single proton, which is magnetically different. Okay, right. So we are getting a doublet for this methyl. The same is going to happen for this and this, right? All of them are going to show us a doublet. So basically we are going to get 1 peak as a doublet, which is going to have a very high intensity ratio because these are 9 hydrogens. These are 9 hydrogens. Okay, yes. What about this proton over here, guys? This proton is basically having how many hydrogens? It is having 9 hydrogens. So it is basically going to be split by 9 plus 1 equals to 10. So it is going to give us a splitting of 10, which is basically we consider as a multiplet. We don't go for 10, we just write it as a multiplet. Okay, so this is going to be a mix like this. It is going to give you a mix, right? And only for 1 hydrogen the peak is going to be, right? So I hope that you understand a little bit of the splitting pattern. Now we are going to get a multiplet for this one and a doublet for all of these, right? Let's now move on to the other example. So guys, this is going to be a doublet. So see, oh sorry, yes. So what do we see over here, guys? Dekho, in this alkene system we are having fluorine on both these carbons, right? If we are having fluorine on both these carbon, there is going to pass a sigma plane through this molecule. there is going to be a sigma plane through this molecule. Both of the carbons are same, both of the hydrogens are same, so they are not going to split each other, rather they are only going to give one peak for two hydrogens, right? Only one peak for two hydrogens, no splitting, so singlet. What about this alkene over here? Can you see any difference in this alkene? Yes, there is. At one carbon there is a fluorine, at the other carbon there is a bromine, so definitely this hydrogen is having a difference. Okay, it is having a different environment as compared to this hydrogen. Why? Because it is more closer to bromine than fluorine, and this is more closer to fluorine than bromine, right? So because they are different, they are magnetically distinct, we are going to get two doublets. We are going to get two doublets with equal coupling constant. Okay, we are going to discuss why is it equal coupling constant. Okay, yes, so we are getting two doublets like this for both of these hydrogens and two peak definitely. Okay, right, so this is how it is going to be. Let's now move onwards to another example. Now let's see this example over here. Just like I had told you, because the two groups are different over here. Yes, let's say guys, we are having this alkene over here. This is our symmetric alkene. So in this alkene we won't have any coupling for these two hydrogens. Why? Because there is a sigma plane, both of these hydrogens are rendered same basically, and that is why they are not going to give geminal coupling. But since these hydrogens are having a different environment, they are magnetically distinct, and this hydrogen is going to split the peak for the adjacent one into a doublet. Same goes for this hydrogen is going to split the adjacent peak for this one into a doublet as well. So we are going to get two doublets in this molecule. Similarly, let's see that over here in this molecule over here that we see, usually, right, so usually what we consider that if we are having a CH2 CH3, so this CH2 CH3, whenever you are going to see this, always remember that these three protons are going to split the signal for this CH2, or basically the protons for this one, into a quartet. So we are going to get a quartet and we are going to get a triplet over here. Why? You can use the same formula, n plus 1 over here, which means adjacent protons we are going to take 2 protons plus 1, this is going to be a triplet, right? And the adjacent protons again over here, n plus 1, this is going to be 3, so this is going to be 3 plus 1 4, which is going to give you a quartet. Okay, so CH2 CH3, whenever you see, you are going to understand it's a quartet triplet over here, right? A quartet and a triplet. Very well. Now what about the aromatic protons? The most common thing that you are going to see is directly you are going to do ortho coupling, which is basically 1 2 3 3 bond coupling. Okay, over here again. So this proton is only having a hydrogen on its adjacent carbon, so definitely it is only going to get a doublet. What about this proton? Again, it is only going to get a doublet because of this hydrogen. However, this hydrogen has two similar hydrogens on the adjacent side, so it is going to be triplet. Guys, why did I mention? See, this hydrogen is also having this hydrogens on two of its side. Why have I written multiplet? Why have I not written triplet over here? Okay, because these two hydrogens are having different environment. They are not the same. They are not the same hydrogens, so their splitting pattern is not going to be same. We are going to discuss that in a while, that how this is a multiplet and why this is a triplet. Okay, right. So because whenever in, let's say, the company of this hydrogen is not equivalent, because on this side this hydrogen is facing another hydrogen, on this side it is facing a CH2 group, so the environment of both of these hydrogens are different, and that is why the n plus 1 rule is going to fail over here. The n plus 1 rule does not apply. We are not going to take both of them as 2, and 2 plus 1 is equals to 3, not going to give a triplet over here. Okay, yes, we are going to see that in a while, that what happens to such unsymmetrical neighbors, how are they going to give the splitting pattern. Okay, right. Now let's quickly move on to coupling constant. They are a very important tool. Exactly, they are a very important tool in predicting the structure. which are very constantly asked in the CSIR exam. So guys, after this video we are going to discuss the previous year questions also from the CSIR exam, right? That is why we are discussing everything from the very basic. Okay, right. So the coupling constant or the J values measure the distance between the split peaks in hertz. What do I mean by that? If I'm having a split peak, if I had one peak, it is split into a doublet like this, then what is the difference between, what is the distance between these two split peaks? That is the coupling constant. Okay, right. So what is the use of coupling constant? They are not dependent on the field strength first of all, or the operating frequency of the spectrometer. Even if we are changing the field strength, okay, if we are increasing the magnetic field and the the operator frequency, the coupling constant is always going to be the same for a particular proton, right? The coupling constant are useful in analyzing complex NMR spectrum because protons on adjacent carbons can be identified by their identical coupling constant. This is a very important and a very useful point. That is, if we are let's say having CH2 CH3, again let's talk about this again. So basically guys, the protons, if they are on the adjacent carbons, they are going to have the same coupling constant. Why? Because they are splitting each other, right? These two hydrogens are splitting this one into a triplet, and these three are going to split into a quadret. So basically the J value is going to be same for these two. So this is how we can identify that because the coupling constant is same, these protons are on the adjacent carbons. Okay, right. So we can see from over here that we have taken this formula, right? This is our ethyl chloride over here. Let's say this is our proton A, signal over here A. So definitely guys, just now we discussed is going to be a quadret. So the quadret is like this. So the JAB, or basically JAB, which means that the coupling constant with which A is being split by B, this is going to be equals to JBA, which is basically a triplet over here as you see, and the JBA is this distance. So both the JAB and JBA are going to be equivalent for the adjacent protons. This is how it works. You must have seen it in any standard book that you are studying NMR spectroscopy from, right? So the adjacent protons are going to give same coupling constant value. Let's talk about this point as well. So guys, it's a very important point in understanding the type, or let's say in predicting the type of alkene that we have. The type of alkene that we have, is it a cis alkene or is it a trans alkene? This is very important for us to determine structures. Okay, right, let's see. So this is the alkene where the protons are basically magnetically distinct. We also call it magnetically different or distinct, we can say, right? So these magnetically distinct protons are going to split each other, and again it is a three bond coupling only, right? But the coupling constant is going to be very much higher. Why? Because the bond is shorter. Okay, as compared to an alkane, the bond is much shorter. Okay, right. So whenever we have a trans molecule, the splitting is going to be, the coupling constant is going to be around 15 or 18 hertz. 15 to 18 hertz in various books, the various values is given. Okay. So again, let's go back to the same thing, that this proton is going to split its neighbor by the n+1 rule. It is going to give a doublet, and same goes for this. So we are going to have two doublets like this, and definitely guys, yes, the JAB is going to be equal to JBA, right? This is going to be equal to JBA. I hope that you understand this concept now. JAB is going to be equal to JBA. Both of these are adjacent protons. They are going to have same coupling constant value, right? Okay, similarly, let's move on to the cis molecule. So in the cis molecule, again these are different. Why? Because they are facing different environment. Okay, but the thing is, For a cis molecule, the coupling constant is always lesser than the trans one. Okay, it's going to be around 10 to 12 hertz for the cis alkene, and this is a major determining factor that we have a cis alkene or a trans alkene in the molecule. And again, the JAV is going to be equal to JBA, just that it's going to be a little bit lesser. All right, very well. So guys, here I have made a chart of some of the possible coupling constant values that you might see a lot of time. So yes, this is what we talked about. This is our 3-bond coupling. It is also called 3-bond coupling, or you can call it vicinal coupling, or you can also denote it like this, 3J, right? So the J value for the adjacent carbons, saturated carbon over here, it's going to be from 6 to 8 hertz, right? For the geminal coupling, as I told you, it's going to be a little bit lesser than vicinal coupling, okay, right? But it is noticeable, and we write it 2J. Why? Because it is only a 2-bond coupling, right? So we denote by 2J, 2-bond coupling, or we also call it geminal. It is geminal coupling, okay, 0 to 5. You don't have to remember all of these values, but by looking at the data you must be able to understand that which kind of coupling this is, okay. Then we have the long range coupling, which I told you is going to be 0. The allylic coupling is going to be 0 to 3, okay, very low value, okay, even though it is happening, it's very low, right? So these are what, 1, 2, 3 and 4. These are all 4J. This is also 4J. Again we have the alkyne bond also, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Again it is going to be 4J, and for the alkyne, these protons for the alkyne system, again 2 to 4 hertz. Now these are some very important coupling constant values that I've already told you. I've told you about the cis one, it is going to be 6 to 12. I've told you about trans, 11 to 18. Now comes the aromatic. Ortho is going to be 7 to 10. There is a meta coupling. A lot of times meta coupling is given in the CSIR exam, and you must have an eye to look at the meta coupling value, 2 to 3 hertz for the meta coupling. Para coupling is not often used because it is very low, not observed, okay. So most important ones for the aromatic are the ortho coupling and the meta coupling. All right, yes. So guys, this is the most important part of clearing the splitting concept for you. Now splitting tree diagram. So now this tree diagram is going to say, see, we have just done a question previously, and I told you that we are going to have different protons which are going to split in a different manner, right? So let's see them. So splitting diagrams can be generated for complex splitting in NMR spectra. To understand the complex splitting, right, we are getting some splitting pattern experimentally, and to try and understand that, we can get the splitting diagrams, which are mostly used for aromatic systems, okay, right. So general splitting diagrams involve using the n+1 rule separately for each neighboring hydrogen along with the J value. This is a very important point, that we are going to separately use n+1 rule, okay. How is that going to be? Let's see. Splitting diagram can determine if certain peaks will overlap, result in less peaks than expected. How is that going to be? Let's see. So guys, yes, let's consider this example over here. Let's say we have this molecule. Don't need to consider the stereochemistry. Okay, so this is the molecule that we have, right. Now tell me guys, what are these two protons going to be different from each other? Definitely, right. So what happens is, yes, we are not going to see a triplet. See these two protons, since yes, so these two protons are different from each other. Why? They are facing Cl2 on one side and F2 on the other. So these two protons are magnetically different from each other. They are different, okay, right. So what are they going to do? Are they going to split these two hydrogen into a triplet? Why? Because usually we know कि when we are using two of these hydrogen, it's going to be 2n+1 formula. 2 plus 1 is going to be 3, so it's going to be triplet. So this one might have been a triplet if we had this molecule CH2 CHF2. So this one might have been triplet, Cl2 over here. Now it is going to be a triplet because both of these hydrogens are going to be same, so they are going to split the CH2 in a triplet. But over here they are not triplet. So what is it? If it is not a triplet, then what is it going to be? Let's check it out. Right, let's see over here. So basically these protons are having a different environment, so let's label them A and C, and let's say these two are B. These two protons are same, okay guys? Yes, so these two are B over here. Now what is going to happen? First of all, let us consider this the proton A is going to split the proton B into some value. What is it going to be? Let's say proton A is splitting B, so the splitting or the coupling of B proton caused by A, the B proton caused by A is going to be for n plus 1. So here we are having only 1, so this is going to be a doublet. So JBA is for a doublet. We are going to see a doublet, this proton splitting the B protons into a doublet. Similarly, C protons splitting this proton into a doublet over here like this. Okay, so basically we get a doublet of a doublet. This is the differentiating factor. We get doublet of doublet. Okay, and there is a difference, guys. There is a huge difference between doublet of a doublet and a quartet. Okay, you must understand that a quartet is going to have 1:2:2:1 intensity ratio, and the doublet of a doublet is going to have equal intensity ratio for all of these peaks. And you are going to get a doublet of a doublet when we are having different protons in different environments, right? Yes, so the B protons are going to be split into a doublet by this one and into a doublet by this one, right? Yes, so this is going to be the signal. Similarly, alright, so similarly let's also consider this previous question that we were discussing, CH2, CH3, this is H, H, H over here, H over here, here, like this. So similarly this hydrogen is going to split this one into a doublet. Same goes for this doublet by this one. These two hydrogens are, see, I hope that you remember I have written a multiplet over here directly, and for this one we are going to get a triplet. Why? Because there is a sigma plane in the molecule which is rendering these two protons as the same. So when we come on the splitting of this one, these two protons become the same. They are going to split it into triplet, right? But when we are talking about this proton, then there is no sigma plane like this. This proton and this proton are both different, right? Yes, so again I can write it is going to be doublet of a doublet, doublet of a doublet. Why? Because the adjacent protons are only 1 protons. Okay, but yes, why have I written multiplet again? Because in the aromatic system we are again going to get a basically complex spectra. We are going to get a complex spectra of the aromatic protons ranging from 6.5 to 8.5 ppm, right? To understand the complex spectra, we try to break it down and understand that these two protons are giving us a more complex spectrum as compared to all of these three. Okay, so this was it, guys. I hope that you got an idea about what is the coupling constant, what are the types of coupling constant, and how are we going to split a peak. Okay, because we will be solving some previous year questions on all of these concepts, so definitely this is very necessary. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up just like this one. Please share it with your friends, and also press this button of subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you, guys. I'll see you very soon.